Or go to TommyJohn.com, code HERD, save 20%, stuff I wear to bed, and, while I'm working and not in bed. He's my buddy Jim Jackson, NBA for 14 seasons. By the way, Jimmy was a great football player, but he's smart. You chose basketball over football, 2 reasons.
Yep.
Number 1 was the girls.
Oh, yeah, because they like being inside, right, Joy? Instead of outside of the cold in Ohio.
Okay.
In a cold football game.
I've spent many freezing cold days in
And you
Akron,
can't be
Ohio.
cute outside.
No, it's not worth it.
Can't be cute.
And number 2 is tight ends.
Tight ends, back then, when I in high school, I caught the ball. But moving forward, if you looked at tight ends back in the day.
They're blockers.
Blockers. Now, Kellen Winslow was different.
He changed it.
Okay, but that was a different system in San Diego.
Right.
You know, with Coryell as a coach and Fouts, those guys, Chuck Muncie, that was a different era.
If you were in high school today and could choose, what would you do?
Oh, basketball.
You go
go basketball. Just because of the guaranteed contract and the longevity.
Okay, fair.
But it's good to have the option. But in high school, oh, definitely.
And you love football.
I love football. I love football. I love just maybe because I didn't play all the way through.
It's also a very good. It's a good TV sport.
Oh, it's great for TV.
It's like built in. It's literally the field.
You know why it's great for TV?
Why?
Because it usually takes me about an hour or so to smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
So generally, I can get through about a couple watching a football game. So it's perfect.
Let's talk about the officiating. Listen, I've always contended it's the hardest game in the world to officiate. It's the best athletes moving the fastest. You got 6'11" guys. I can't see who's hitting who. I think the Rockets are making a mistake here. I think they're trying to manipulate the NBA, and my gut feeling is it's going to backfire.
2 things here for me is that in situations like this, when you're dealing with the officials, now teams can go back during the course of the season and review and submit plays that they think should have been called, okay? But when you continually do it, it's like crying wolf. When it's really time for the wolf to show up and you're not going to believe him because you did it all year, okay? The issue is that I think it goes the opposite way. And what I mean by that is the first 3 to 5 minutes of this game, just watch how the game is being officiated. Because this could also hurt Golden State. Because this is where now comes into play the calls that are more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Do you think tonight's loose or tight?
I think it's tighter because the opinionated calls are more so like the block charge, okay? Whether somebody gets fouled on a shot, a travel call. Those kind of calls right now, I think, are going to be more scrutinized by the officials early, okay? I do believe that because they're not going to benefit Golden State because it looked like Houston won. But then they're not going to go against Houston because then it seemed like Golden State won. So the officials now, I think, are going to control it a little bit different that can offset, can hurt both teams.
It's interesting. James Harden said something where Scott Foster's arrogant and won't create a relationship. And Joy was kind of laughing at me, but I officiated to make money for 2 years in college. And I took it really seriously.
Were you good?
I actually was.
Okay.
So, I mean, at one point, they let me, both years I got to the final game because I took it seriously. Like, I was athletic enough that I knew the players. They were football guys, and I didn't want to be a jerk. I wanted to matter. But I remember my takeaway on officiating was I never wanted to smile or frown. I never wanted to give anybody a thought, oh, he's in my dorm, he's my buddy, he's not. I was robotic. I understand officials listening. I don't want relationships with players and stars. I don't want Michael putting his arm around Dick Pavetta and in Jim Jackson, I'm guarding him thinking, these guys are golfing buddies. Is Foster a bad ref to you?
No, but I do think, keep in mind, officials, I don't care what sport they're human. Okay? If you continue to get on a certain official or somebody, after a while, they're going to have enough of it, okay? And sometimes during the course of the game, they're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt just because of that non-personal relationship of how you approach them. If I'm Golden State, if I'm Steve Kerr, you know what I tell my guys? No matter what they call at the beginning of the game, don't react to it, okay? Tell them it was a good call and just keep it moving. If I'm Steve Kerr, they call something that's obvious, a foul, I'm not going to say anything because I think that sets the tone of what you want to do later in the course of the game to get benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, so if you only bark once or twice a game, refs, that psychological edge is maybe I did blow one.
Well, and also, too, because of everything that has gone on the last 48 hours with the officials, okay, you don't think that they know that all eyes are on them in every call they make? Okay, I think one of the biggest mistakes the NBA made, which hurts officials, is the 2-minute review.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Because what happens is a team like Houston can go back now and say, see, the review says that you want Golden State to win. But I'm saying this. If I'm Bob Myers, okay, I want to go review. Didn't Chris Paul bump an official? He should be kicked out. He shouldn't be able to play. If I want to push the button, if I want to go to the letter of the law. So you put the officials in a tough situation.
I think I do not like the 2-minute report.
No, I don't. I mean, I know you want some kind of clarity. You want, fans to know that it's not a rigged system, but that's not how you do it, because now Houston has a legitimate excuse of why they're complaining. Or the 2-minute rule, the league said it. They should have called this. Well, what about the push-off calls on James Harden? Okay, what about the travels? What about some calls that they missed on Houston? So that's where it gets ambiguous in regards to the accuracy of what you're talking about. I can argue all day long that you miss calls over here. But what about these? James Harden getting calls all year where he's traveled, pushed off, and they haven't called it.
They call it the chicken wing, the push.
So now you want to complain. You can't have it both ways.
And I also think what bothers me about Houston, Phil Jackson used to tweak the refs during a series. Mm-hmm. It felt playful. Phil would be sarcastic. Phil would be like, apparently they don't understand that, our guys get to play defense too. And Phil would say it was sort of a sly, smart alecky, I'm smart. I never thought it was malicious, but the NBA would fine him.
Right.
They would fine him. Like, we're not going to have you do this. And I was never bothered by what Phil did. I thought it was kind of funny and smart. This feels like almost Houston's trying to, maybe embarrass is too strong, but out the NBA in the middle of a series.
But here's the thing.
That feels heavy-handed to me.
Maury is what? Analytical person,
No,
right?
A smart dude.
How about sometimes you can be too smart? Because now you're trying to put all this information, show all this, we're right, but you're still painting the picture of officials not doing their job, and that's not going to change the narrative. Listen, when I was in high school and college and early in my career, I got the benefit of the doubt sometimes.
Yeah.
But not like some. I used to guard Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, and we would be talking, and they wouldn't want to get the fouls all the time. And I'm like, that's what I wanted to say. Man, stop complaining. You get all the calls, so now they miss one. Now you want to be upset. Stop complaining. You get the benefit of the doubt.
You'll get this because you're into business. I said this yesterday. If I'm a company and I am trying to manipulate the IRS, I have a right as the IRS to say, I'm going to put more agents on your case, and I'm going to use a finer tooth comb auditing you than your rival company. Because I feel you're trying to manipulate my system. The IRS can choose who to really audit and who to lightly audit, because all big companies get audited. If I feel you're trying to manipulate, I don't think Golden State is trying to manipulate me. I think with Harden's flops, you're trying to manipulate me. I have a right as a league to say, I'm going to take a finer tooth comb to your manipulation. IRS does the same thing. No red flags. If the IRS thinks, oh, Jim Jackson is writing off the yacht as a business expense, that's when they put 13 people on your tax return.
But Amazon talking about not paying tax. You don't think that they scrubbed that with a fine-tooth comb? When Microsoft and Apple also, when they were overseas and money was going overseas and not paying taxes, you don't think the IRS came in and said, hold on, wait a minute.
Okay.
Hold up. Just because we're hearing all this backlash from other companies and cities that you're not paying tax. It's the same thing here, is that what happens is now the NBA is going to go back and review, and you said it, and a lot of people are saying that this shot right here in this rule, verticality.
In the offseason, it will be a huge issue.
Here's the issue. As a shooter, sometimes your momentum moves you forward, especially if you're stepping into your shot. And as a defender, even if you go straight up vertical, that offensive player encroaches upon that space, okay? And you may have some contact. But a lot of times the interpretation is that, the offensive player needs to land, but that momentum at times, I'm not saying all the time, can move you forward into a defensive player space.
Thank you. So the question is, what is the radius you're allowed? Now, Harden amplifies it because Harden's like...
He's smart. He manipulated the rules.
By the way, people who manipulate the IRS, they're not dummies.
No.
Like I get manipulation. But by the way, think about this. What did the NFL do to Tom Brady when they thought, didn't really have proof, they thought Tom was manipulating ball pressure? 4-game suspension for the greatest player ever.
Yeah.
The NFL, it was about, we think you're trying to manipulate us. And then Tom Brady, a cell phone, I can't find it. They always say about Capone.
Yeah.
It's not the crime, it's the hiding it.
It's the hiding it.
It
That's
wasn't
right.
when Tom threw away his cell phone, it's like, okay, now that's a month.
Exactly.
And I think that's what we got here. Okay, Jim Jacks, are you an SFY later?
Yes, sir.
Speak for yourself. Good stuff today,
All
my
right,
man.
you got it, man.
Would have been a great tight end. You'd have been Tony Gonzalez.
Come on, man. Me and Gonzalez.
Don't know if
Could
you
have had more catches. You never know.
Joy with the news.
All right.
No.